You can give your all to people who never notice you and still call it love.
You can build a career that steals your brilliance and still call it success.
There's a special kind of heartbreak that comes from being unseen when your talent, your care, your love are treated like background noise.
But in Tyler Perry's Finding Joy, released in 2025, the emptiness heartbreak leaves behind opens the door to the desires of the heart. Join us for this review of the film.
I'm Heit.
And I'm Cheri.
And you've discovered Axiom Amnesia.
We want to thank all of the supporters who helped to make this video possible. If you want your name to appear alongside these contributors, make a one-time donation via Cash App, or you can head on over to patreon.com/axiomamnesia to enjoy all of the benefits of becoming a monthly subscriber.
So we're definitely going to spoil this for you. They put it out on Amazon Prime as of now, probably like a week ago. So when we made this, probably a week.
Yep. It is written, directed, and produced by Tyler Perry and also filmed in 5 days. You told me that it was 5 days. I guess I shouldn't be surprised anymore by how fast they're able to film these movies. So the cast, we have Joy, played by Shannon Thornton, and we have Ridge, played by Tosin Moronfala. There are other characters in the film, but, you know, these are the main two that we're going to be involving ourselves with because obviously it is a love story and it is a holiday love story at that. So for those of you who do like holiday love stories, you know, this is not a bad way to spend a couple hours or so.
Wow, it's crazy what they call holiday.
Why?
We'll get to that. Well, because it's just about them. It snows and they're in front of a fire.
And it's Christmas. It is Christmas time.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if it's Christmas time. You don't have the Christmas pageantry and stuff.
I guess that's true.
But
so the question that we will be answering along the way is it worth the watch? And so in order for us to do that, we just need to go ahead and give you the rundown of what happened in the movie. But first, let us talk about something. If you're watching this, chances are Tyler Perry has you hooked. Whether you love his films, love to hate them, or you just can't resist them as guilty pleasures. But here's what you might not know. We've already gone deep into Tyler Perry land. We've got entire playlists breaking down his stories, his characters, and all the drama that you can't stop talking about. So don't miss out. Hit the description for links to the Ultimate Tyler Perry Why Did I Get Married playlist and the Ultimate Tyler Perry playlist. Trust me, you'll want to binge these and share them with your friends.
Yeah, so first off, the music was too loud in the beginning of the film.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Oh, okay, because it opens with this fashion show. And so you're talking about the fashion show music was really loud? Yeah, it was.
So whenever they were talking, was it a party or something too? I don't know.
No, it was like a fashion show. So the movie opens with Joy. She's working at a fashion show. She's the designer's assistant. And while she's there, she's got these two friends named Ashley and Lydia. And they're talking about how she needs a man, but this man she's with is not, seeming to be the one. And how the designer that she works for stole her designs. So we already just get thrown into like his problems with this girl is here smiling and trying to put on her best face or whatever. And so they continue to reiterate how the guy that she's with, this white guy named Colton, how he does not seem into her at all, right? And then they say she's unrealistic about love because, she's always reading these romance novels. And she's also unrealistic, hoping that the designer is going to give her her own line after he done stole her designs. So anyway, Colton, her seemingly male guy friend or whatever, he invites her.
It's her boyfriend in her mind.
Yeah, in her mind, right? He invites her to Colorado for the holidays to meet his family. And he also teases that he wants his family there when he asks her something. So her friends are like, girl, is he finna pop the question? Mind you, they only really known each other for 2 months. So this seems kind of quick or whatever. But her friends encourage her not to give up on black men after one of the friends is, after Joy tells one of the friends that, you're just saying that because you don't like white guys. And then her friend argues, well, you hate your job. You hate this man you with too. Like everything is bad. And she's trying to bring her to reality. But she also tells her that the job is stabbing her in the back. So Joy has some good friends, Lydia and Ashley, especially Lydia. Lydia is the one with the big mouth, but she's saying all the right things because this is what Ashley needs to hear. I mean, this is what Joy needs to hear so she won't be so delusional about what's happening and letting these people walk all over her. So basically, they're just taking her designs and not giving her any credit at her job. So her friend talks again about these romance novels that Joy is reading and, that these are just not real. They're not realistic and she needs to get her head out the clouds. So Joy then says that relationships shouldn't be hard and that she's not trying to force a guy to basically push the relationship forward. So because she's done in the past and she just wants to do, whatever.
Tyler Perry watches us as much as we watch him.
Why do you say that?
We just had this conversation about relationships shouldn't be hard.
And think about it. He wrote this script a while ago.
We don't know that. He filmed it in 5 days. He probably wrote it 5 days before.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
But it's more stuff in the film that I'll point out that, shows that he's listening, y'all. So y'all better get y'all comments in. We can influence him.
Yes. So basically, her friends, again, like I said, are just reiterating her like, hey, look, be safe. This ain't your real man. Basically, that's what they're trying to tell her. But yeah, Joy is just like, I'm just go with the flow. And, I'm not going to try to force a man into anything, whatever. So then Joy does decide to go and meet with Colton in Colorado, up in the mountains. And we get to hear like another country music score in a Tyler Perry movie.
See, now, he heard us talk about that and he's like, I don't care. I'm going to keep doing it.
I like country music some, but I felt it was just very weirdly juxtaposed in this situation. But I guess country music has to be what plays if you're going to Colorado.
Or the wilderness.
Yeah.
Black people don't have that type of music.
But they arrive at his family's cabin. She meets the mother and the father and somebody named Heather. And so basically what happens is Colton acts like he's going to propose. Heather is standing there with a camera to take a picture and everything. He's giving this proposal-like speech. And then he's like, I want you to be my best girl, which is the equivalent of like the best man, but it's a girl. And Heather is his whole fiance that he's had the whole time. Heather and Colton are engaged. When she looks around, she sees like decorations about their engagement that's at the parents' house. Joy is shocked, but she says, yes, she'll be the best girl.
Whatever. How does this make sense? If a woman is talking to a man who she thinks is her man who is going to propose, did it never come up that we are together or you don't have a fiance, you don't have a wife, you don't have a girlfriend?
Well, and like, did it ever come up that y'all never kissed?
He never mentioned his fiance?
Y'all never kissed? Y'all never did nothing?
Yeah.
Y'all never did anything like remotely romantic?
When y'all go on a date, what is it called? Dutch?
So I don't know. The whole thing is very, I was like, how did you not know, girl? How did you not know?
Yeah.
But what I will also say is that there are people who are very publicly affectionate, and depending on the culture from which you come, like that may not be acceptable, right? In America, people be showing what the, PDA or whatever, they'll kiss in public and do hold hands and do all this stuff. But, depending on your culture, everybody doesn't do that. Some people look and frown upon that and think that that's very rude and perhaps even unbecoming and uncouth. So I did want to point that out because her friends are judging their relationship based on whatever the vibe that they feel like they get. And you're not always going to get a vibe. But rest assured, folks is getting it on behind the scenes, but they're just not publicly doing stuff. So anyway, Joy is shocked, but she does say that she's going to be the best girl. And then she just goes to her room in the cabin, in this guy's parents' house, and cries. And then she gets on FaceTime with her friends, Ashley and Lydia, and tells them that they're right. He has a fiance. And Lydia is basically like laughing in her face. And that's kind of the ongoing thing that happens is they're saying things in front of her, either on like their group chat or on FaceTime as if she's not there. But it's like the blunt in your face type of stuff that she sort of needs to hear. That would hurt her feelings if their relationship wasn't always all the way like that anyway. So anyway, she's like, I want to get out of here. But there's this big snowstorm that's coming. And so she's like, well, I'm going to just try to rent a car and drive up the mountain. And you said she's driving down the mountain. She said, I'm a rent a car and drive down the mountain. I'm like, yeah, okay, Tyler Perry. Sheila drove up that mountain.
And she's driving down.
And she's driving down.
Yeah. So, but one of the jokes was the what's love got to do with it? Tina Turner leaving jokes. Is what
yeah, like what? Tyler, what?
Yeah. So the whole thing with Colorado, as soon as Colorado come up, it's why did I get married? Right? So when they show up, it's like, is this Troy's cabin? I'm sorry, y'all, I didn't do my research. Okay, I wanted to go back and look at the actual scenes in why did I get married to compare, because just because they move some things around don't mean it's not the same set and everything. The parking lot, is that not the same? They might just have a garage, right? The parking's area in the front looks similar. Some of the backgrounds look the same, but why? Well, what's this thing with Colorado? That's one thing. I think they bought Troy's cabin. That could have been a nice Easter egg for us. We're just a couple. And then when they go into town, I could have compared the scenes where when they went to town and why did I get married? A general store or whatever store your boy had.
Well, I think that what Tyler Perry should consider doing is making more serial movies, just like people write these serial romance novels and stuff where it concentrates on a different character, but that character and the whole, scenery, all the people, but this book focuses on this particular character.
So like this one, Ridge, before all of this movie happened, like a prequel.
Yeah. So I think that would be an interesting thing to do because he makes so many movies anyway, and people would watch that and, why not? I mean, and then the themes that he explores wouldn't feel as redundant because we have these characters who've been through stuff that we know what their backstory is. And so if they bring it back up again, it doesn't feel like every movie you make is about, whatever.
Yeah.
But hey, Tyler, if you do that, we're happy to consult too. Just hit us up on email.
But part of the thing too was that the whole asking to be best woman was predictable because just one scene before he basically was saying that the other woman was like his best woman. And he explained, it took time to explain what it meant to be the best woman is basically the best man, but it's a woman because she's like one of the guys.
Yeah.
The thing is, all this happened, so then Sheila had to go up the mountain to save her marriage, and she was going down to, I don't know why, she wasn't saving nothing.
I know, right? But speaking of which, I need to know from y'all in the comments, think about Sheila in the Why Did I Get Married series. Would you have gone up the mountain to save your marriage? And if you vote that you would not have gone up the mountain to get back with Mike, there's a t-shirt that we have that you probably would like a whole lot. And you can get it from us at axiom.app. It is the I'm not driving up that mountain t-shirt.
Sheila, I told you don't go driving up no mountain behind no man. Now look at you. But if you like my shirt, go to axiom.app in the merch section and get it.
But anyway, so then after all of this happens, Joy is driving in the snowstorm because she goes to get a rental. They're like, hey, we don't think that you should be driving in. This is going to be really bad and whatever. She's like, I'm going to insist and I'm going to go ahead and drive. Now, she's from New York, so presumably maybe she knows how to drive in the snow. But New York snow driving and Colorado on a mountain snow driving are two totally different things.
And people in New York don't drive, so who knows? And she might not be from New York either.
So her friends are on FaceTime and they ask hey, do you know how to drive in the snow? Because she's literally driving on the mountain with low visibility in this little car that just, no. And so her friends are funny because they just always keeping it real. They continue to talk about her in her face. And she's like, I'm still here, right? And so that's kind of the ongoing comedy that we see between her and her friends. And so then the GPS is telling her the road has ended, U-turn in 56 miles or something weird. And then she just keep on driving. And then she starts spinning out on the road in a blizzard.
It wasn't a road.
Then Joy gets out the car. She's trying to get her cell signal. She done locked herself out the car. Turns out, like you said, it wasn't a road. She was on a frozen lake. And both she and the car fall through the ice. Oh, my gosh. Very traumatic, Tyler Perry. We like it.
When I saw this and she got out the car and stuff, I was like, oh, Finding Joy. So Tyler Perry, he really surprised me because I thought it was going in another direction. I'm like, oh, she going to be missing. That boy done something different. But she just fell into the water. And I was like, oh.
Yes. So the car falls.
Okay.
She falls.
Her
She's
phone
literally
falls.
drowning. Her phone is in the water. And then we see her stuck under the ice and banging on the ice, like trying to get out. And then she loses consciousness and floats down just like Jack in Titanic.
Bruh.
After she peels herself away from Jack and he just float down into the abyss. That's what happens to Joy. And then the next thing we know, we see Joy waking up in a cabin. You can hear the snow and wind outside. And she sees a man and she panics. And then she runs outside and she's screaming that she's been kidnapped and stuff. And he tries to tell her, okay, and he is a black dude, just so you know. He tries to tell her, look, nobody's around.
Nobody wants you. That's how he was talking.
Why was he talking like,
He was talking like Dr. King.
he was like, nobody is around. And then he goes back inside. And so she comes to her senses. And so she finally comes back inside and he's like, look, you're safe. And y'all know how I feel about the male reinforcing these traditional male things like you're safe, I'm the protector, the provider, So when he starts saying these things, I was like, okay, I hear you. I feel you. I see what you did there, Tyler. So then she says that, then he's telling her, look, you got to trust me because I'm all you got. And we find out that his name is Ridge. So he explains that he was out hunting when he saw her car going in circles. He saw her go into the lake and then he went in, jumped in and saved her. And then she's like, well, thank you for risking your life to save me, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you say that like I had a choice. I thought that was interesting.
Why?
Because he didn't feel like it was a choice. Like clearly somebody's dying and I have to do something.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a choice, but
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not doing that if it happens and I see it. I'm going to be like,
if it's a stranger
in the air tonight.
Or what?
Yeah, if it's a stranger, because first off, cold weather, snow, ice, I'm not making it. It's going to just be 2 dead people.
Well, listen, I'm not going to lie and say that I'm going to jump in, but I'm going to go, I'm going to be at the side of the hole, like trying to give you a stick at least. Now, maybe I might jump. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be, because, some people will lie and be like, I'm jumping in because I save people. That's what I do. Nah,
yeah.
I'm not going to go that far. I'm just going to say I would at least go to try to investigate, but I'm not going to sit up and be like, I'm jumping into the high sea water.
But the thing is that she didn't know she was going to fall in, right?
No, she didn't even know she was on the lake.
So that's how you would end up underneath the ice. So if you're in there, you can expect to fall in at any point, which makes it easier for you not to end up under the ice. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody familiar with the area would be able to assess better than some city slicker as to how to operate on the ice.
The question is if you're not from there and you see it happen.
Yeah. No, I can see that. Yeah. Like
I don't think
get
I would
that piece.
fear going under the ice as much if I know that there's ice that I could fall into.
Mm-hmm.
But then I have to think about, can I sustain this cold weather? Can I survive that? And can I get out of the water once I break this ice to get this person out?
Well, he says that he's going to get her back to the town as soon as the storm passes, but it could be a while. But again, he reiterates, but I'll take care of you. Meanwhile, Colton and his family don't understand why she left, and his fiance. They're like, well, why'd you leave? And I mean, are you serious? But anyway, we also find out about Joy that she's a vegan and she doesn't want to use the outhouse. And all he got is rabbit stew, Ridge has at his place. And he's helped her. And now she's insulting him, like with the accommodations and whatever. And then, at one point in the conversation, he asked her if she was suicidal by the way she was driving the car.
Right. But I think that makes sense if you don't eat the food, right? I'm a vegan. I don't eat that stuff. I don't see any problem with that.
With saying you don't eat the rabbit?
Yeah. In a situation like this, right? So we all seen the movie Alive and the ones that came after that. I'm not a cannibal. I'm not eating that. It's the exact same thing.
Well, and in the end, he's like, I'm going hunting. Well, I mean, you're only hunting for meat. So no matter what.
But that's the same thing in that situation. You don't have anything to eat, so you have to eat this meat. In the other situation, you don't have anything to eat out here, so you have to eat these people. So, yeah. So the film tried to make it seem like it's unreasonable, and probably if you don't really
that what was
consider it that
unreasonable
well,
that he
that
said,
she wouldn't,
or that she wouldn't want to eat it.
want to eat the thing, right? Say I'm vegan. But if you really think deeper into it, then you're like, yeah, it kind of makes sense until you get to the point where it's really like you ain't gonna survive, because the storm ain't supposed to last forever. You could survive probably a week off of some beans, or 3 days off of some beans,
if
and
you
then
got
4
beans.
not eating. Well, he said he had beans that she could eat.
He like,
beans.
I had beans for me, but if you eat my portion of the beans,
well, that's what he talk about, because he talk about his rations. He's like, I only have rations for
one person.
Yeah, one person.
And I'm trying to share with you, and you got your butt on your back.
Yeah,
at least that's how he took it, right?
And he wasn't expecting her, but she only gonna be there a week. What is you talking about, bro?
So
did he only go hunting long enough for the?
Maybe he goes hunting every other day. Or
okay,
every
but
day.
okay, let's say, hey, I think that there's gonna be a storm. I'm gonna get enough for a week for me by myself. One person come along, they may be there for. I just have to eat half of that for a week. Okay, it's not crisis moment.
So yeah, at some point during this dialogue, because they are really grading each other in the just wrong way, you know. So at some point in the dialogue, she calls him weird, or says something is weird about, you know, what he's doing. And he's like, I've had enough of people calling me weird my whole life. And, you know, that you are a guest in my house. And basically that she should just lay off and quit tripping. And then next thing we know, she's like, well, I don't like guns. And he's like, it's for hunting. We have to eat. And I only got enough food. That's what you're talking about. You know, he's only got enough food for himself.
He was going to take him out.
And he's like, he also says that he came up there to be by himself. So he went up on this mountain to be isolated. And here you come. And he's trying to help you, but he don't really want to be bothered with you either. So then he goes and he leaves to hunt and tells her not to touch anything. So Joy seems to feel like a bit of remorse, but then after he walks out the door, she calls him an a-hole. So her friends are getting high and they're trying to decide if they should call the police. This is Ashley and Lydia. And it reminds me of Get Out and the movie Trap, right? Where you got these, you got the black character who is like the conspiracy theorist and believes all these, you know, far out things. And yet they're also getting high, you know.
But see, they definitely made reference to Get Out. He mentioned it early. Like
he mentioned it later in the film after this, because I remember I saw that and
even
thought
before.
Oh,
he was like, yeah, it's gonna be Get Out. You're going up there with Colton.
Oh, okay, yeah. Her friend said ahead of time, yes. So you know, I thought that was kind of funny. And then the movie Trap, we never talked about the movie Trap, but I really want to talk about it someday. And y'all, if you haven't seen it, I mean, it's on streaming. It's been out a while now. Y'all should really see that movie. I thought it was really good. But anyway, so then we get this humor with the outhouse scene, because what happens is she gets stuck to the toilet seat because she goes to the outhouse. It's freezing out there. She sits on the seat and boom, you know, you get that seal.
And she screamed while he's out there hunting. He's very close to the house hunting, which I think is weird. But it looked like an AI moose. And I'm like, bro, come on.
And he's scared, and she scares it off with the scream. So then he comes to see what's going on. And he got to come in the outhouse and rip her up off this toilet. So meanwhile, her friends called the police to try to report her is missing, and they emphasized that she was with white people. And of course, the sheriff or whoever they're on the phone with is white also. So Joy and Ridge are now in the same cabin, and she's like, well, do you have a pen and a paper? And then he opens a chest to get it out or whatever. And then he sees a quilt in the chest, and then his attitude changes. He suddenly becomes sad and whatever. And then he tells how his mother had died 2 years ago and how much she loved the cabin. And he just is clearly hurting and still in grief. But he says he doesn't need her pity, even though she expressed her sorrow over what happened to him. So then they just stay irritating each other. Just, you know, nothing is satisfying to one another. So then Joy admits that she just was being a brat. And she says that her last boyfriend cheated on her with somebody she was close to. Then she runs down how men have just done her wrong. And she says she always ends up falling for guys who don't love her. And she's like, do you know what that feels like? I was just trying to get home to my dead-end job where I'm mistreated and disrespected. So now we understand that she deep down inside knows, like she knows that the job is doing her wrong, even because her friends are coming at it from an angle of like, she's just clueless. But no, she knows, and she is going along with what the mistreatment of her by others. Right. And so then she says that, well, she says she's sorry and everything like that. And they just kind of start to have a little bit of middle ground that they can be on together. And then he tells her, you don't have to be sorry for loving somebody. And I'm like, okay.
Aww.
So she tries to get firewood the next morning. And she goes outside with this quilt around her body, and then she snags the quilt on a nail, and then she rips the quilt to get it off the nail. And then he sees her. He's upset because clearly the quilt means something to him. And she just is like, I was just trying to help or whatever. And he like, you done got my quilt all wet and look at it and it's ripped and And so then her friends continue to get high and try to find Colton's number. And then they're like, well, we gonna go get Joy. We gonna go find her. So at least her friends are like, look, we got to go. We got to mount up. And so then they wind up talking to Colton, and they asked Colton to go look for her. And he said he gonna go get the sheriff and then go up there to the sheriff's office with his father. So Joy, next scene we see, she's repairing the quilt because remember, she's a designer. So he was mad when he saw her messing with the quilt. He was like, leave that alone, because remember, he does talk like a mountain man for whatever reason. And
no damn mountain man.
Like a mountain man and Martin Luther King mixed together. And so then he realized that she knew how to do the proper stitching on the quilt. And he was like, oh. And then so she says, oh, well, the stitching was Native American. And, of course, she's a designer. So Ridge becomes emotional and he confesses that his mother had made that quilt for him and that it was the last thing that she gave him before she had passed away. So he says she repaired it perfectly. And he reveals that his mother's name was also Joy. And it's like stitched on the blanket. And then he's like, so your name is Joy, my mother's name was Joy. And I'm like really freaked out, So she learned that stitch, she says, from he tells her that my mother learned the stitch from one of her friends that's in the Navajo Nation. Because I did think, and you thought before that, we was like, is he finna say that his mama is Native American? But we were glad that, okay, her friend was Native American. That's where she learned to stitch from. Okay, Tyler Perry, you get a win for that. Ridge confesses his mother had passed away 2 days before Christmas, how she loved the Christmas season and that this time of year is always hard for him. And so they do now seem like Joy and Ridge seem like they're kind of like understanding each other. Meanwhile, he starts talking and he's got like a little clothesline across part of the room. And he over there, because mind you, this is a 1-room cabin. So you don't have like separate rooms. So he's over there washing up in a basin and you looking at his, top part with no clothes on. And she looking at him and he's just having casual conversation. And of course, and he's washing up and everything. So
don't talk to me with my cock out.
Shut up. Meanwhile, Joy explains to him how she was a foster kid. And then Ridge tells part of his story that his father had got married 6 months after the mother had passed away, how him and his brothers had fell out because of it, and how his brothers go to the father's house during the holidays and he comes up to the mountain. So he's estranged from his family. And Ridge also tells that he's from a family of black cattle ranchers who've been on that land for hundreds of years. So Joy is like, Ridge, you need to just think about maybe being with your family during the holidays because your mother wouldn't want you to be up here by yourself, sad and lonely.
And then she mentioned, I bet that also mean that you listen to country music. Right? Mm-hmm. See, Tyler Perry heard us talking about that country music. Want us to cover your favorite movie ASAP? A one-time contribution of just $50 or more to Axiom Amnesia gets you a deep dive on demand, a 30-minute discussion on any film you choose.
It's easy. Step 1, send $50 via our website, axiom.app, where you can pay via card, Apple Pay, or you can pay directly via Cash App at $Axiom Amnesia. See the links below. Step 2, tell us your movie, email, the name you want to appear on screen, and what kind of deep dive you want. General, a specific character, a particular aspect of the film, etc. Step 3, watch your deep dive on demand with your name listed as executive producer.
Lock in your deep dive on demand today and hurry. Spots are limited.
This offer is not valid for filmmakers or distributors. Subject to availability and terms apply.
So Joy said that she had awful foster parents. And, so then Ridge asked about the guy who had her up there and trying to leave so bad. And she explains that it was Colton, and Ridge knows Colton. So he said, well, Colton played a lot of football, so they really don't know what's going on upstairs. And then it all comes clear. This is why Colton seems clueless. And so the implication here is that, I don't know, maybe he has CTE or something, right? And that the football and getting knocked around is why he
mistreated a black woman.
Shut up. And so then Joy says that
maybe it's the story of Taylor Swift and your boy one of them brothers.
Kelsey, the one she's engaged to now.
Yeah, one of them.
So
Kelseys.
Joy says that she's read all these romance novels and she hopes that she will meet her Prince Charming. And Ridge is like, I'm not romantic or whatever. He's like, I need to be alone for months at a time. And that just really doesn't bode well for relationships or whatever. So then they get to drinking and sharing and talking about their lives. And then they have this moment where they start looking at each other's eyes. Let me tell you, after you had that yak, and then you start, you're the only two people there, and you start looking at each other's eyes, you in danger. You in danger because you know what's going to probably happen next. So then he breaks it. He's being a gentleman and everything. And he's like, okay, go to bed. So she sleeps in a bed and then he sleeps in a chair with his cowboy hat over his face.
Yeah, because he was like, I can't go over there, you know what I'm saying? Because what did he say? Something about I want to.
No, that's the next time.
That's the next time? That's
the next time. That's because it happens 2 times. So the first time they done been drinking and then he like, well, go to bed. And, she lay on down and go to bed. She looking. And so then, it's been 7 days that she's been out here by this point. So they've been talking and whatever. So then we see them because they do something in the daytime. So time has passed. And then we see them again like the next night drinking and talking and whatever. And then they continue to bond. And then that's when this incident, it's like a repeat of the same thing that happened at night.
What happened was they had those 2 scenes back to back. And I was like, is this the same day? Because you didn't show no time passage or nothing.
They showed a little flicker. They showed a little flicker of something in the daytime. And then we see the similar scene again. Where, okay, it's time we've been drinking. It's time to go to bed. He tell her to go to bed and he put his hat over his face in the chair. And then she's sitting up there looking like, I ain't going to bed tonight. And she, walks over.
Right, but that was after he was like, I can't do whatever because
he tells her, he's like, I don't want to keep my hands up off of you, And after he says that, then she's just like, okay, the light bulb is off in her head. So she sit down, but she don't lay down on the bed. She was like, okay, I'm about to shoot my shot. She goes over to him. She take that cap up off his head, or the cowboy hat
off his head, and then she delivered the predicted line, "I don't want you to keep your hands off of me.
Keep your hands off of me." And he was like, "Well, all right, Missy," and he took her and lumberjacked her.
Bruh, you really said that.
Yes, but that's what happened. And so, they kiss and then one thing leads to another and Colton don't have to sleep on the chair tonight. So the next morning, the storm has cleared. Colton is disappointed when she's like, oh, it's clear. I can make it into town. Like she's ready to leave. And he's upset because he don't want her to leave now. They done, like he could see this going somewhere or whatever. So he's mad, but he like, I'll take you to your truck. So they're hiking to his truck. So it's not close. It's not like his truck is pulled up by the
Why couldn't he just drive his truck up to
maybe there's no road up there. He got to hike down the mountain to his truck. Or somewhere.
He carried her however long this was. Bruh.
So then he's being short with her. He got an attitude and she confronts him about it. And she's like, what is going on? What is wrong with you? He refuses to say why he's upset.
Because she woke up and stuff and he was like, oh, you could make it down and go. And she was all happy and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm ready to be up out of here.
Good. I'm ready to get on out of here. You know what I'm saying? She had that Megan Thee Stallion spirit.
Oh, man. So so they keep walking and whatever. And then just as they get down this mountain or whatever, and there's like a open field. It could be an iced over lake. I can't tell. But the police pull up as they're hiking, and it's her friends with the sheriff, and Colton is there too.
Joy.
And they found Joy. So Colton is like, hey, I'm sorry about everything. Your friends told me all about it, you know, and I could understand how you could think that, blah, 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 and whatever. So then after that, you know, you still got Ridge standing there watching this grand reunion, and then they're about to take her away, and she's like, oh, hold on, let me tell him bye. Ridge done already started walking off. He ain't even said bye. He just walking off. And so she's like, well, I guess not. And so she gets with her friends. And then next thing you know, they're on the airplane, her and her two friends. And they're asking about Ridge and whatever, talking about how fine he is and all that. And so
and
then
I said, I don't care about Ridge and what he's feeling. I feel like.
Yeah, because he was so sad. And I'm like, well.
Yeah, he was sad. But the reason he was sad was, I don't know.
What was he supposed to be like? Little lady, I want you to.
I don't know, but the thing is, he's like that because he went out there and don't never see nobody. And then basically the first lady who come along, he want to get married and shack up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man. What if Tyler Perry has like Finding Joy Part 2 where, you know, it's the same situation, but instead of it being like amicable, he like makes it where she can't leave the cabin. That's
some dark turns that he liked to do. He should have done that.
But this was a Christmas movie. It was
but like it could have been all good and everything just until the moment where the storm passed and then she like, can we make it down? And he's like, air straight, bitch.
For y'all who don't know the reference in A Fall from Grace, that's what one of the characters says.
That's how it could have went, but yeah.
But yeah. Then about a month later, we see that Joy is back at work with her life in New York and everything. And at work, it's her boss, the designer, and then her boss's boss, or the guy who owns the company, whatever. He comes in, the boss's boss asks, hey, are these designs stolen? Like, are these your designs? And he passed them off as yours? And she's like, no. And then that's when the guy's like, look, we got an email saying that the designs were stolen. And then she's like, oh, well, you know, I did do some designs and I did. So she kind of halfway confesses, and then they turn it on her and they're like, we knew you wrote this email and you're trying to say that we don't give black people, you know, our black designers their just due, and you can't do that and you are fired. And they like, we knew you did it and it came from your computer. So she just gets fired. She leaves, and then she goes and confronts her friends because she know it must be Ashley or Lydia. So Lydia was the one who sent the email. And so they feel bad. They weren't expecting her to get fired. Her friends wanted her to get her just due or whatever. So then she talks to them and she's mad. So she's leaving. As soon as she walks out the apartment, next thing you know, Ridge just showed up in New York, and he tells her, well, you know, I took your advice and I made amends with my dad and everything. And and my brothers were there. So he, you know, did the holiday thing with his family. And he said, and they told me I should come to see you in New York.
Tyler Perry liked to have whole movies after the movie ended. When she left that cabin and everything, like, that's the end of it. When they left at the end of, not the end, in the middle of Why Did I Get Married? Like, at some point, that should have been the end. But then we got all this extra stuff.
That's the
after
epilogue.
That. Like, come on, in the movie.
For those of you who don't know, you should visit axiom.app. And you'll be able to look at all of the recent videos across all of our channels. And I'm putting that on the screen right now just so y'all can see it and see what it looks like, because there are a ton of videos that are over there. And also, I think that there are at least about 100 exclusive videos that are available for our Patreon members and our YouTube members. So, you know, if you're interested in more of our content, as I've seen many of you binge watching, be sure to check those things out. So Joy is not receptive to him because she's like, look, I'm not going to be dealing with your switch up attitude and all of that. And so he's like, look, I just need to talk. He really does go there, and he kind of like begs her to talk. So she's like, okay. So then they come back into the apartment, go in her room, and, you know, her nosy friends are like trying to hear what's being said. And Ridge is like, you know, I've been thinking about you every day since you left. And, you know, I just wanted to know if it was the same for you. I just wanted to know if it was,
I just wanted to know if it was the same for you. So
no,
then,
because she's been having people around.
So Ridge then is like, I love you. He says that he loves her. And
After a week.
I couldn't help but feel like Ridge might be a little special. Like, I think Ridge may be also, in addition to him being in deep grief and all of these other things, and this may be why that was the breadcrumb that was dropped earlier when he said people been calling me weird all my life.
Yeah.
I think he may be on the spectrum. And because of that, it probably made these relationships much more difficult for him, right? And so he's trying to navigate this. And I do like this direction.
See?
I wish it could have been a little bit more obvious,
Well, maybe
but
the
it was just a
prequel is
subtle.
going to show us this.
Yes, because when Tyler Perry does the prequel that we're requesting he go ahead and write in a couple hours, then, we get that on knocked out and we could get
but you
more
could give
of
us
his
a
backstory.
special thanks or something, too, in the credits.
Yeah, or a huge donation.
Yeah, that would be even better.
So... But like and we always have ideas like, can we help you? But anyway,
Then we have to come here and criticize ourselves.
Well, or then we
I'm
just
not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we would.
I'll just be like, damn, we really fucked this one up.
Full disclosure, we worked on this movie, but let me tell you, reason that we didn't, we be arguing with y'all in the comments about why stuff is like it is. But anyway, so that's what I think. And I do like that because you know what? I do think that characters should be diverse in all ways, including our Black characters, because we have Black folks who are all sorts of ways. And I don't mean that like just neurodivergent. We got Black folks who are into all kinds of things, different interests, country music. Okay, that's been represented in these last couple movies we've seen, right? So
now let's move on over back to R&B.
So a lot of different things. And, we got Black folks who's into, skating and skiing and all kinds of things. And I just think that it should be represented. And I was glad to see that here, especially because we live in a time where being neurodivergent is being acknowledged in a way that it hadn't previously been. And it's perfectly acceptable. And we should be able to say that loud and proud.
But I don't think we really see those off-grid folks in movies, Black off-gridders.
No, which is why people probably think they don't even exist.
Yeah, we just see them on YouTube.
It's just like, okay, another video that we covered that's coming out today is Belly. And in the movie Belly, it was crazy to me because I was like, wait, hold up. Look at all these Black people in Omaha, Nebraska in part of the movie Belly, right? Because they're Black people all over the place. There's Black people in Minnesota. We saw them. They
trafficked us everywhere.
It's Black people all over this country, okay? But it's just that certain places are not really represented as if there are Black people there. Black folks all over.
But Rich showed up. He was like, I really loved you, girl.
So, then he says to her also, you messed up my ability to be alone.
See what I'm saying?
You showed me that I was lonely. That's what he told her.
That's what they have. It's November. They have them no nut. No, but they say like.
They have what?
No nut November.
Okay, what is that? What is that?
You're not supposed to be bussing during November.
Okay.
But you know how they have people who talk about semen retention and stuff?
Oh my gosh.
This is one of the reasons I think that they say, I don't know, I never really listened to him. But I'm thinking like he done busted one and now he's like, I can't stop thinking about you. I can't be alone now.
It has weakened him.
Yeah.
As opposed to being more disciplined and restrained.
Yeah.
I see.
He done bust one and now he just can't help himself.
So then, she can't resist him. They start kissing. And then Joyce tells him, she's like, look, I want to go back with you. Because one thing she said after she got fired was she was like, it was just so simple when I was up on that mountaintop with Ridge and da-da-da. And here I am. I came back to all this drama. And so, but then, so you would think that from the man who just told her, hey, I love you. I want to be with you. And I miss you. And now she's like, I want to go back with you. I want to be at home with you. And he tells her, nah, I think you're running away. And he asks her, she's sure. And she's like, okay. And he like, well, all right, then I'll buy you a flight now. And so that was like some really weak pushback in the moment. But, he confirms she's sure. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna get your flight then, boo. And so then her old boss discovered that the designs were really Joy's, and then the old boss is fired. They find this out because her roommate comes and tells her, or Lydia comes tells her, hey, your boss want to see you, go back by there. So when she goes back by there, this is what happens. So her boss, who is stolen from her, is fired. And then they're like, look, we're just going to change the name and it's going to be your line now. Right. And Joy is offered that. And then Joy is like, I don't really think I want to be in this business anymore. And then she walks out. Ridge is waiting for her in the waiting room. And he's like, what? You said no. This is all you talked about when we were in the cabin. You said this is your dream. And he said that she has to go back in there and do this because it was her dream. And he is not going to let her, walk away from her dream and then be mad at him down the line because she didn't take that chance. And she's just like, wait, what you mean down the line? And he's like, I want to marry you, girl. Look, I ain't gonna say it like you said, he bust, but he got with her and he decided he wanted to marry her and wanted to be with her. And he's presented this idea that she could be in both New York and Colorado. He is here for it if she is here for it.
You know what I do like? When I'm watching a movie and it respond to me in the moment, right? Because like she go out there, she's like, I'm not going to be in the business because, the assumption is that she going to go off in the woods with old boy. And then I'm just like, no, you just tell them the terms and you can work remotely somehow. It's like, what is going on? And then she go out there and talk and then she come back in and she like, okay, it's going to be like this.
But you know what? This is why I feel like teamwork really does make the dream work, especially with the way men and women can work together. Because there are points where like in that moment, she was missing him. She was all in her feelings. She did not give a doggone about nothing in her future in that moment, right? Because she's on the high of, I'm in love. I'm about to be with this man. But even in spite of his distractions of her, now that he knows she's receptive to him and everything, he still is thinking clearly for her in that moment. And I think that just the same way as when he wasn't thinking clearly about his family and connecting with them. See, that was a more emotional thing that she advised him, look, get with your family. Your mama wouldn't want you to be over here like this. He followed her advice and it was to her benefit. Here, she follows his advice. She goes back in there, gives her terms, and has more because of them working together. And I really appreciated that too. But before she goes in, because he's like, it'll be fine. We can both be in Colorado and New York. I mean, we could both be here. I'm gonna be here when you need me and blah, blah, blah. Right. And then she says, well, what if I fail? And he's like, so there it is.
A song about it.
What's the song?
If I fail. Y'all hear it sometime.
Yes. I remember the song. And so he says, there it is. You're scared. And then he confesses that he was scared and she made him face his fears. And he tells her to just go on and try. So again, encouragement, like the way she needs to be encouraged. Not somebody who's like, well, you ain't gonna go, whatever. Not somebody who's like, well, I guess you're gonna be in my kitchen cooking and
Reno wrote a song about it.
Try.
Yeah.
Yep. And so then he says that, hey, look, I'm gonna be here whenever you need me. So he goes, he tells her to go and he'll be waiting for her right there. So that's when she goes inside. She gives all of her terms. And she gets whatever she wants. She goes back in and accepts. And then she's like, I want to be clear on how people are being treated. So she's putting her foot down now. We see a different person who's willing to be more aggressive toward the things that she wants in the workplace and in life in general. In the next scene, we see Joy and Ridge get married. And Lydia catches the bouquet and then the movie ends and that's it.
Yeah. So what I don't like is that she didn't go live off in the woods. So the cliche would be her going to live in the woods with old boy, basically. But it didn't do that. And this is one of those instances where you just have to do the thing.
Well, and it seems to me like, are y'all going to have a long distance relationship? Or is it the term that she's willing to let him go off for months at a time? Because he referenced that earlier in the film. She's going to go off for months at a time and he is, and because he needs to be alone and all of this and that. But I'm not so sure, but so did you like the ending because it wasn't cliche?
No, I'm saying I wanted the other ending.
You wanted her to go to the mountain.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is how I feel. I thought the ending, I liked the ending, but I don't think it was realistic.
Yeah. You could have the best of both worlds though, in a sense. right? You could go there and meet all the Native American family of the person who taught his mama and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And get these techniques and come out with this, remotely of sending designs back to New York.
That then the Navajo that the Navajo Nation can own that, you know what I'm saying? They have a line now if they want to monetize their own culture in that way.
Royalties or some way, yeah.
But I was also going to say I just think it's unrealistic. And because the thing is, you think you're like, when you like that, you think you're going to be okay to be in different places. And then I think there's just going to come a point where you just want to be in the same spot. And how quickly that would happen and who would have to compromise, because clearly he don't want to be in the city. And her job is there. But I think the best case scenario will be if she was able to be in a mountain and just be able to be remote. Why do you have to physically be there?
You know what it remind me of?
What?
Because he was in New York talking about, how he can't stand it and he's ready to leave. There's this YouTuber we watch, Only Up West. He's building a cabin out somewhere off grid. And he did a video where he was in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, and he was just like, I'm ready to go. And he went off on his own on like the last day and stuff. He was like, yeah, he's ready to go back off to just be in his cabin.
Yeah.
A black guy. He's black.
Yeah. And I think for people who don't have these high social interaction demands, and in fact, it can work in the other way. Like you probably don't, he didn't want to be bothered. Richard did not want to be bothered with all those people. He wanted to just kind of have this solitude to be in his own world, but he didn't want to be lonely.
The thing was he did what he said she was doing. He ran, right? Whatever problems, we don't know. We're going to find out in the prequel and, we could come up with it, help us in the comments. But he ran from whatever was going on from people. That's what was happening. That's his problem. Like, he didn't just... he wasn't raised into this like, I'm just a loner or whatever. Something happened that we don't know about that led him to this lifestyle.
Well, and they both ran, right?
Yeah.
So he says the reason he came is because of his mother. But I think they both ran because instead of standing there and being like, what you mean you engaged? I thought you was my man. She didn't confront that. She ran from that situation with Colton and his fiance and her, the misunderstanding. And then not only that, she agrees to do what she doesn't want to do, which is to be the best girl. Obviously, she don't want to do that. And that's running. And she was about to run in the end. I just want to go be with my man. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But the reality is that she was doing it because things went wrong also. Because her energy was very different before that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
all in all, I think it was,
I don't think it was good. I think it's a bad movie.
I think it had potential.
So the thing is, like with Tyler Perry, I don't know if he can or can't, but I'm gonna just say he can't pull off a dialogue-driven film, and that's what it is. There's two people in a cabin talking, right? And you have to be real good at dialogue, and maybe psychology or whatever. I don't know what goes into it. I don't do this. You know what I'm saying? But I watch movies, and I know those certain dialogue-driven films, and some of them are good. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But this just wasn't it. Because I don't know, whatever. There's some writers out there who could tell me.
So what I'll say, and y'all always accuse me of not being fair in my ratings, even though we didn't do ratings for this one. I feel like if you like the Christmas movie type of stuff, if you like the,
Hallmark movies.
Black rom-com Hallmark movies, this one it's not the best one I've ever seen, but it's not a bad one. And it is holiday romance and, it'll get you there. Although I would have liked a little bit more of the romance, of them being nice to each other, right? We only get that, we get a lot more drama versus in a lot of the other Hallmark type movies, you get the anticipation of the romance and then you get the payoff and then they get to be happy for a little bit longer than just the night, Yeah. And then the thing that threatens the relationship comes in and then you get the resolution. And this way I felt like the whole movie was mostly a fight. And that's what
guess,
makes it a
but
little hard. But it does follow that template, though.
Yeah, but I knew they was going to get together because they spent time together in a cabin. It was just going to happen.
It follows the template of the, adversaries turn lovers. That's like
somewhat.
the trope, and so it follows that. So I would not say it's a bad movie. I would say that it is.
Yeah.
It's,
I don't know. If they could have showed him, like she was trying to go and help. If they would have showed the part like, oh, I'm going to show you how to use the outhouse. I'm going to show you how to chop wood and gather wood and do these things along the way instead of just sitting there talking. You know what I'm saying? Then they could show what bond they have, right? Because, the little, oh, you're messing up doing something and they, like falling into each other's arms, giggling and stuff. Those sort of things.
Yeah.
Oh, you slipped and I caught you and we stare into each other's eyes and then snap out of it. Those cliches and stuff.
And he did tell her, though. He was like, obviously he saw this because they had this whole conversation about beauty. We didn't really talk much about that. But we saw where he was like, well, obviously I saw that you were a beautiful woman and, you up in my cabin and everything.
And she was like, you think I'm beautiful?
And then
I don't know, but for some reason I think most women just think that they're beautiful already. But women would say that almost no woman believes that.
So that was a very interesting dynamic that they had because they said, so it was like, oh, you think I'm beautiful? And he was like, well, yeah, because she was also talking about how done up she is at her job, with, all of the makeup and the lashes and, whatever. Fixing up. And then here she is in this cabin looking, in her mind, rusty, dusty, crusty. And he's saying, I think you look good like this. And I don't know. It's just, it's.
There's a lot of times like when you see somebody who don't have all that stuff on and then they put it on and you're like, but you look worse. And I would say probably most of the time.
What happens when you put all the stuff on and people say you look better, though?
Yeah. But if you never see them, well, other women are telling you that. But if you never see them in another state, then you don't have the comparison. You know what I'm saying? Or if you see them in one state first. You know what I'm saying? It's probably how you see the person, too.
But she said something, too. She said, oh, I didn't think you thought I was beautiful. Or I'm paraphrasing. I didn't think you thought I was beautiful because you were mean to me.
Yeah.
And then you were like, what? I was like, yeah, because the assumption is that you won't be mean to a person if you find them attractive.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is. Yeah, go to the comments. Let me know. Is that a truism that
I think it
people
is.
Who? Yeah, okay.
I think
that
that
people
if
who
you
look good don't get treated bad or mean.
I think that they do, but it takes a hell of a lot more on their part. Look, if you ugly by societal standards, then you got to prove you worthy for somebody just to treat you decently.
But we're not talking about that.
But it's in the context here. But if you are one of the beautiful ones, I think you have to act really wild for people to just treat you mean. I think you get a lot of grace and leeway. You can be very funky acting and not pay the consequence for that. But maybe that's part of his neurodivergent thinking. And he was like, you act ugly, you is ugly. Because she was being annoying when she first got there. Like, he saved your life. Everything else should have been, if he put that stool in front of you, you just be like, dang, I'm going to just sip the juice then.
So maybe that's the only reason he really wanted. So it's a couple reasons that he really liked her was because he thought she was beautiful, right? And then he ain't been with a woman in however long or seen a woman. But he's always going to town. So that part is kind of a hole. But yeah.
Maybe it wasn't no black women and he liked black women.
Yeah. So, so maybe it's just that because of the way she looked. Because she was very mean. And he looked past that.
But he didn't look past that until she started to act better.
Until she started sucking that thing.
Shut up. Do y'all hear this?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
But anyway, so part of this, I think, is Tyler Perry telling us why he don't hire writers.
Okay, well.
Because they going to go, or, interns are people who just underwriters, underneath them. I don't know what's the word, underlings. I don't want to use that term. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because mentees, they might say, hey, I wrote that. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that Tyler Perry's putting out, that's my work. Because that's kind of this relationship here. And maybe he's like Joy, who maybe this kind of maybe happened to real early. We don't know. And then he had to step out and just like, I'm going to just do all my own stuff. But I never heard anything like that. So, but yeah, that would be one reason you don't have other people, because other people get credit for things that you want credit for.
Well, I think that's a hard thing. Maybe you could have a contract that could stipulate that, or but what would be so wrong with just acknowledging? Because it's kind of like what happened in this movie, right? You know, they were still in her boss was still in her designs.
That's what I'm saying. That's him telling us why he don't hire writers. This movie and what happened.
But I don't know. I mean, if you're a writer on it, you're a writer. Your name is listed with the writers.
Everybody don't get we got ghost writers and all this other stuff, right? Maybe that's coming out too, but. Like in any industry, you have people who get the credit for the stuff that they did not do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And is it that I want the credit for what I do, and that's why I'm independent, and that's why I don't even hire anybody else? Because like someone who does fashion, they want their works and designs out there, and me as a writer, I want my works and design. I don't want to be a filmmaker. I want to write my stories.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
right. I don't want to make what Patrick once made. I want to make my things.
Well, there's something definitely to be said for independence, and I support that idea. I just think that I think when you get into mass production and the potential watering down of your end product or your art, then you got to make some decisions. You know, you got to make some decisions, and but I don't know. He's churning out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and are you advancing things too, right? Like, have you told all the stories you can tell? Because are the stories getting better, more in depth, more rounder? You know what I'm saying? At
no,
that
I
point,
don't think that they are.
I need to pull out some other people to do
maybe
these
it's
things.
just to say I have flooded with black stories. I have flooded the market with blackness and black stories,
well,
and that has a value.
Black stories. It's that I shaped the culture solo, right? I have a monopoly on black image in the Western world. That's what that means to me.
Well,
or black women's image or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If you flood in the market, then you have the monopoly on how we're perceived.
That's definitely something to consider there.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Woo. That's a hard one. Because it's not, I don't think it's all good, but there are definitely some critiques that are deserved.
Especially if it's like, hey, black people weren't able to get their stories out and stuff, and then one person come along and they get to tell all the stories. That's not what we fought for. We fought for black people telling the stories, not black person. But, you know.
Well.
But I still do understand people wanting to tell their stories, but I also want other people to be able to tell their stories, even if I'm telling my stories.
Well, and I guess it's hard. It depends on how you look at stuff. Like for me, whether it be through any art that I do, whether it's us just talking about art, like I only really want to represent my perspective or our perspective, you know, like with our collective, you know, efforts. But I don't really want to, I'm not trying to say this is what black people think about this. I'm giving you what I think about it, and it's going into that. And I try to be mindful that even though I don't say it, that's how some people take it, just the same way as with our fan theories and other stuff, that becomes canon to people when we, you know, with the following we have now, you know, that if we say something that becomes truth to them that they're going to repeat and talk to other people about. And I try to be mindful of what I say because of that, because believe me, I could be saying a lot more stuff than I do, but I hold back some things because I don't feel it's right to affect the culture in that way.
Yeah, well,
you know, but I be wanting my credit too, though. I'm gonna keep it real. I do.
Yeah, exactly.
I be wanting my credit because, you know, like it's the audacity of somebody who heard one of our fan theories, especially like the Menace to Society one. that heard one of our fan theories someplace else by somebody who parroted and pretended that it was their idea, to then come and suggest to us, the people who created it and, came up with the idea.
Right. And it's not just a whim. It's that the first video we done on it, we went point by point.
Point by point. It's that people come in that way and then suggest like that we took something from somebody else. So that's why I'm always careful too, that I wouldn't want to accuse, because look, people have different ideas, same ideas at different times. I would not want to accuse someone of
just because
stealing.
just because something is new to me, right? So somebody even if you came across the person on TikTok and this the first time you come across it, right?
Right.
Then you go to someone else and say, you got this from over there.
Yeah, and they've done that.
You.
It's just the level of disrespect. And, from those of you guys who like are our cousins, like in our tribe, who know us and have been around all this time, you already should know from our personalities that theft, I would never. Not just because it's theft, but also because I don't think your ideas are good enough that I'm about to just suck them up and try to claim them as my own. No.
I don't know. Some people have good ideas.
Well, they do, but then I'll say, hey, this is their idea.
Yeah, exactly.
But like the idea that I'm just going to be randomly going around looking for other people's stuff to suck up. No. Why would I do that? Why would I do? You know what? And it's just like cheating, right? If you're going to cheat in school, am I cheating off of somebody else's paper? Hell no. I would, if I was going to cheat, I would cheat, with the TI-85 calculator and having the equations pre-programmed in there or something. Because why would I think the person next to me knows? But that's the world we live in today. But anyhow, not a bad way, in my opinion, to spend a couple hours. Like, put it on and listen. And,
I don't think it's worth the watch.
Okay, well, there we have it. But as always, let us know in the comments, what did y'all think about the story? And also, a lot of you guys did not see the Ruth and Boaz review that we did a while ago, or at least it just didn't seem like it got a lot of traction. It's been a few weeks now. Have you all seen that movie, and what did you think?
And some of these that don't get many views, they just go to the members. So, yeah. If you miss it, you might just miss it.
Yeah, so definitely, I'll link that in the description, and be sure to get back and watch that too.
If you made it this far, type lumberjack in the comments so we'll know you're one of the real ones who stick around to the end.
And be sure to check out one of the videos that's on the screen right now.